So as I was saying, I'm a policy officer at the World Farmers Organization. Happy to be here. I'm also the focal point of the Gymnasium, which is a capacity building program for young farmers. Who comes next?
Okay, I'll start. Good morning, Theo. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tobias de Marcos. I am actually right now General Coordinator for the International Young Farmers of Argentina organization. And we were thinking about introducing ourselves before we ask the questions so that we can give, especially Theo, the picture of where we are coming from with our questions. So if you don't mind, this will be the opportunity for us to keep the conversation going and being able to connect and give our insights with Theo and the rest of your organization. Is that all right, Julia? Okay.
Sorry,
Theo,
yes.
No, yeah. Theo, thank you so much. We are honored that you can be with us this morning. We are a network of young farmers trying to connect with each other and especially build relationships with other young farmers abroad. Our aim is to be able to build this relationship and this type of organizations all over the world. And you being the president of the farmer organization and being able to join us today is a very special honor. So thank you deeply. Thank you also, Agustina and Julia, for setting this up. Theo, I will maybe give you the first opening question so that you can give us some background on yourself. I've been Googling a lot about you and you seem a very interesting person. And so if you are okay with this, I will give you the first big question and then we can all jump into any other insights that other of my fellow young farmers would like to ask you. Is that okay?
You're welcome, Toby.
Okay. So basically, I was hoping to get your own words, a brief story of how you got here, how you ended up being the president of the World Farmers Organization. What do you do? What your agenda is in this organization? And in your own words, how was it important for you as a farmer to build relationship with other farmers in South Africa, but also all over the world, and being able to connect with them as you built your career and ended up as president of the World Farmers Organization?
It's a big question. I'm a farmer in the northernmost parts of South Africa, and I farm with subtropical fruits and timber, mostly avocados and macadamia. Some 24 years ago, I started farming. So I actually started very late in my life. I was very excited about the local farmers organization. And when I'm done with World Farmers Organization, I will get involved in local organization again. The biggest joy in farmers organization is actually on the local level, there where real life farming takes place. I got involved simply because I was the newest guy. So they gave me all the toughest jobs. And as soon as I became chairman of the local association, we have a land reform program in South Africa. And incidentally, our farms were the very first farms in South Africa targeted for land reform. So no one knew how it works. No one understood what to do next. And I started driving back to Pretoria and then back to the farms to try to sort out the land claims on our farms. Hence, more and more farmers associations, local ones, called us in our local organization to ask, how have you dealt with this? So the next thing, I found myself responsible for land reform in our district or our county. And a few months later, it was my job in our province. And then a year later, it was my job on a national level. And some 3 years later, I became the president of SACAU, our Southern African Confederation of Agricultural Unions, because land is a very sensitive political issue all over Southern and Eastern Africa. So another 3 years, and I was the president of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, which gave me an opportunity to travel across the whole continent and to meet farmers on their farms in all the corners of Africa, mostly smallholder driven, mostly poor and uncompetitive. And I could see how many solutions farmers already have. It's just that they do not have the capacity of the state to implement solutions. They do not have the access to big budgets. And it was in PAFU, in the Pan-African Farmers Organization, that I really realized in very practical terms the value of farmers standing together, developing policies, engaging with governments and super-governmental organizations such as the African Union or the SADC, Southern African Development Corporation, and to wrestle them until they develop policies which is conducive to sustainable and profitable agriculture. So I was eventually nominated to the presidency of the World Farmers Organization, not by my own country, South Africa's farmers, but by the Zimbabwean farmers, our neighbors, which probably, like Venezuela, has some of the toughest challenges on land ownership, property rights, investment, lack of funding or access to financing. And then when I got into the World Farmers Organization, you know, coming from a farm, very small fish in a very big sea. Now I met with farmers from across the globe, and two things was overwhelming for me. First, how similar our interests are and how different our environments are. I quickly learned that there are some issues to which you don't go. I don't think in my lifetime farmers will agree on a global level on issues such as trade, subsidies, or GMOs. But I hope to still, within my lifetime, see a few new policies being developed and agreements being reached on issues such as health and nutrition in our environment, biodiversity, the footprint we leave on our farms, across our pastures and our fields. I hope to hit a dent still in my lifetime on soil health and carbon sequestration, which is something farmers can do if we just go to the effort to make a plan together and to develop a common dream on that. This is how I got where I am now.
Thank you so much. It's very interesting how your agenda is so broad, no? So it's very interesting, all the topics that you're working on. I would like to turn on to Lisandro Vada, that he wants to ask you a question. So guys, please, before asking a question, give a brief introduction of yourself, so Theo can have a background also.
Hi, Theo. Good morning here in Argentina. I don't remember the time there in Africa, but here for me it's good morning. Hi, I am Lisandro Vada. I am from the center of Argentina, from Córdoba province. I am an agronomist. Right now I'm being part of precision planting here in Argentina. I work as regional manager here, and I also help my family with the farm. And well, my My question for you today is, which was the biggest challenge you faced in your early career, and what did you learn about that?
The biggest challenge to get handles on the business part of farming, and now thinking back, it is not really rocket science. Every farmer should understand that you need to get more for your product than what you spend to grow it. That's called profitability. And if agriculture is not profitable, it's a welfare case. We have too many of those all over the world. Organized agriculture can have no stronger mission than to ensure the profitability and the sustainability of agriculture. It is a livelihood. You need to be able to make money of it. And you need to make it again next year and the year after. That is called sustainability. And if we can guard profitability and sustainability, then we have plain sailing ahead. We must fight the issues which threaten profitability and sustainability. It is as true on your own individual farm as it is on your regional, your national, your continental, and the global agendas. Agriculture is a business. It's a tougher business than most other businesses. It's a multidimensional business. So you need highly skilled people to drive the competitiveness. It became a very small place for us as farmers. Every farmer is every day in competition with the best other farmers in the world. And if you cannot make it in the competition, you're going to drop out. That's why in the program which Julia is driving, our gymnasium, and of which Augustina was one of the participants over the last 3 years, is aimed at recruiting the brightest young minds in the world to choose agriculture as a career. Within your lifetimes, we are going to need to feed 2 billion more mouths. And we need to do it in such a way that we both maintain our planet and its atmosphere, and also maintain the health of exploding global population. We need to produce more food in the next 40 years than what humankind has produced since with agriculture. That's a tough challenge. It means that we need to grow more on less and with less. Remember this part, we need to grow more on less and with less. That is the challenge. And that means that you need highly technically skilled people with the best possible or the best available technology to do it. And you need to do it in competition with all other farmers in the world. And therefore, you need the most important aspect, the best possible human capital, the brightest minds.
Thank you, Theo. Very, very interesting, very challenging. And connecting with that, I was wondering, how do you see from outside? We every day we find challenges, local problems with maybe government or maybe climate in Argentina. Maybe we are too focused in Argentina and in our everyday lives. How do you see Argentina from outside? What can you tell us from your perspective of what you see of farmers in Argentina, young farmers, and this human capital insight that you give us from Argentinians, and also considering sustainability, profitability. You know, in Argentina, we face many challenges. We are not a country that can, that we rely on profitability to maintain our businesses. We do not receive subsidies. On the other hand, quite the opposite. I mean, so from your inside and from outside of this country, how do you see us rising to this challenge of increasing yields and increasing the food production as the world gets smaller and with more and more people coming in every day?
There are two answers to your questions, Tobias. You know, there's my view on Argentina as the president of the World Farmers Organization, and there's my view as a South African farmer, and those are a bit different. First of all, as president of the World Farmers Organization, you are blessed with a very strong farmers network in Argentina. I've served on the board of World Farmers Organization with your previous Minister of Agriculture, Echeverria, and you know, you really have strong leadership and you have depth in leadership. I got fantastic support from him on some of the most contentious issues in agriculture, such as subsidies, such as the leveling of playing fields on global trade. He has very strong views on it. Unfortunately, as you might know, your national platform is no longer a part of World Farmers Organization, and it left a huge gap, especially as part of the Global South and as part of the Kearns Group of countries. The Kearns Group are those countries who have the least government support for their farmers. As you say, like South African farmers, you also do not get any subsidies, and it's basically Argentina, South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia who are anchoring the Kearns Group. That brings me, by my view as a South African farmer, we are in the same production bracket. We have the same seasons. We compete against each other on global markets. And from South African perspective, our biggest competition in the world is Australia and Argentina, because of the quality of products that comes from there, but also because of certainty of supply. Global markets need certainty. They need to know that at this time, they will get this volume at this price on the shelves. And Argentina gets that right. It's tough competition because of that. So you have reliable producers, which means that you have the human capital to drive competitiveness. You use higher technology than most of the other competitors in the world. We also see similar high technology from Brazil, but from Brazil, we do not see the same use of data and the same seizing of digital applications in agriculture. Now, this is extremely important. The new generation of Argentinian farmers have embraced this digital technology because they understand that data is the new gold in agriculture. I've met Bill Gates some 3 years ago in his office in Seattle. I could at first not understand why he invited me. But when I left, I realized he wanted to convey this simple message. If data is the new gold in agriculture, as farmers, we should not run in the gold rush. We must put up the shop selling the spades for those who want to mine the gold. No one has the capacity to go from farm gate to farm gate to collect the data. But farmers' organizations can be one big gate to all the data. Then we must retain the ownership of our own data. And the younger generation of Argentinian farmers, more than anyone else in that region, understand the data part. and that gives you an advantage. Here in South Africa, we are working very hard on the new generation of farmers to make them realize that value of the data and to help to develop the mechanisms to harvest. Also the New Zealand farmers, their young farmers also understand the value of data. You have a very big country. You have vast areas on which you can farm. A big issue which I always wonder about, and because of your absence in World Farmers Organization, we are missing out on the opportunity to discuss and share experiences. I always wonder, exactly how do you do advocacy? How do you convince your government to adopt policies which are good for new technologies, which will be good for the retainership of your own data and that kind of stuff? Having met your minister last year, the new minister in Berlin, I tried to engage with him on this. I was not very successful. He did not have the same openness towards the World Farmers Organization as the previous one had. So I could not really get new information from him. Hence, it is important for us really to create a platform from where this experience can be shared. And then, of course, last but not the least, youth in agriculture in Argentina has been Augustina. I've listened to her in the debates on the gymnasium. I've seen the input she has made, and I was flabbergasted. I really think your country is blessed with a layer of young leaders, which only predicts good things for the future. If Augustina is the prototype of the farmers of the future of Argentina, I'm green with envy.
Thank you so much. I think Agustina is flashing so much right now. Maybe we don't see it, but I'm sure she is, especially in the inside. And well, maybe there's an opportunity where we can work together, no? Where the network we are trying to create, maybe with Julia, we can work something out to give you some insight on what kind of this type of things that you were wondering, and I'm sure that we can collaborate and work to give you some of this information. But it's very interesting. Thank you so much. I would like to turn over to Lucas Amadeo, that also wants to ask you a question.
Thanks. First of all, thank you very much, Theo. It's pretty good to have the opportunity to be in touch with you. The first thing I would say is it's so good to have the opportunity to hear someone that is not in Argentina and give us some good opinions about our country. And I always believe is we are tougher with our country than what other people is with us. So I'm happy to hear what you said about our farmers, technology, data, and young farmers. I think Agustina is unique. There is no many Agustinas in Argentina, so you were really lucky. So I'm Lucas Amaya, I'm 29 years old, I'm an agronomist as well. I had the chance to live in Australia and New Zealand at the same time. I took part of Echevere team during 2019. I work with education. So my main two questions are related to, one is related to education. You talk, I do believe that the big difference is done by human resources and high skilled resources. But I still believe that education needs to keep moving forward. In Argentina, it's hard to have the universities ahead from what is happening at the farm, and we are facing challenges in terms of preparing young people to face the challenges that the farm is facing, if you know what I mean. So I would like to know how you see that. Is the university just the place to get prepared for these challenges, or we need to find other places to keep learning? And the second one is mainly related to the farm sector and the government. So as you may know, Argentina has greater challenges related to policies and how the farm communicates with the, here we have some people that takes part of Sociedad Rural Argentina that is definitely one of the main actors in terms of that, but we still have challenges on that. And I would like to know from your experience, how do you think that, or how have you managed that, and what's a way to win power or to win a better communication in order to have greater policies for our sector? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a very important question you've asked, Lucas, on the role of universities in education. See, it's much more than just the transfer of knowledge, technology, and expertise to a young generation to equip them for their profession. The role of the university is also to broaden horizons all the time. It's the heartbeat of science. This is where you need to go look beyond the horizon, what the future can be like. A university which only does teaching is actually missing its main goal. The main goal is to open up new areas of knowledge, and that you do through research. And it's important to involve the students in the research. It's especially important to involve the sector in research. Too much research is done at agricultural universities simply for the sake of new knowledge, and it's not driven by the need on the farms. So before they start with research, farmers' organizations should be involved to say, what is the research we need right now? And even if you forget everything I'm telling you today, remember this part. If the solutions you seek is not based in science, it will not last. Answers to our difficult questions today must still be valid answers in 20 years from now, and 50 years from now, and 100 years from now. And you only ensure that if they are based in proper science. So whatever you do in policy development, always bounce it off the scientists. And they should be at the universities. And you should get involved with them. You have no more important partner, except for consumers probably, than the scientists. And science usually gets born from the area in which it is done. You have a big responsibility towards Argentinian scientists in agriculture, as much as they have a responsibility towards you. And your farmers' organizations, they are the structures. In our case, we have just had a meeting yesterday with a group of youngsters, I would guess around your age, and they are still attached to universities, whether as senior students or junior lecturers. But for us, it is the link to the scientists. For us, scientists. The core function of any farmers' organization, whether it's the local one, the provincial ones, the national ones, even a global organization like World Farmers Organization, our core function is always to influence policy. We must help to create the environment in which we can farm profitably and sustainably. And that influencing is either done by persuasion, by convincing the policymakers of a certain point, or in confrontation. Very often, you need to actually fight to get there. Whatever, it is important that you create that environment through the engagement with governments. But to influence policy, you need to have policy. Very often, farmers' organizations do not even know what they want themselves. I found many farmers' organizations who do not have a point of view on the most contentious issues of our times, whether it is animal welfare, plant-based proteins as an alternative to animal-based proteins, biodiversity, agriculture and climate. These are the issues which are shaping how and what we produce next. So we need to have a stance on that. And that stance must be reached through consensus amongst farmers. As much as you as mandate from grassroots level. As farmers leaders, you also have an influence on how farmers on their farms think about things. They want to know from you, what does the world say? What do the consumers say? What do the scientists say? What do global structures such as the United Nations or European Union say? And then from there, develop the consensus. And this is why you cannot compromise on the quality of farmers' organization and the quality of leadership in those organizations. Frankly speaking, one of my my biggest new discoveries when I entered into the global arena was how much the quality of a farmers' organization and the quality of its leaders are interrelated. A strong farmers' organization has strong leadership and vice versa. Everything depends on how strong and how well equipped farmers' leaders are. And this is the reason why we in World Farmers Organization spend so much time and energy and resources in the program which is run by Julia. The program, the gymnasium, is aimed at developing a better quality of farmers' leaders for 20 years from now and 30 years from now than what we have today, with better interaction, better communication, and better understanding of each other.
Theo, in that sense, there was a debate some time ago in 2008 that began when the government and Argentinian government and farmers from Argentina had a big argument regarding taxes, and farmers started to ask and more the question one another: should we enter the public arena? Should we try to run for offices, run for local councils? And in that sense, you mentioned at the beginning that after you finished your job as president of the World Farmers Organization, you wanted to get more and more involved in local organizations. So my question is, what message do you send to farmers all over the world regarding entering the public arena, regarding running for office in different layers of government? And when you mean trying to give a local approach to farmers organization, do you yourself and do you recommend other farmers to engage publicly with government and with public opinion, of course, since all of this have to have a take on these issues? So do you recommend that we, especially us as young farmers, try to get involved as soon as possible? Do we need more time to get more skills? How do you see that, and what recommendations do you have?
This is quite the sensitive issues all over the globe. Many countries, farmers' leaders become very strong and influential, and then they go into politics, they become ministers, they become heads of state, and And I've seen it over and over again. So what I'm telling you now is my personal feeling about it. It's not the position of any of the organizations on which I serve. I always regard a farmers leader who enter into politics, who serve on town councils or parliaments, as a loss to agriculture. Because we need the strongest leadership to take care of the interest of the farmers on grassroots level. To speak truth to power, not to be the power. You influence policy. You don't make the policy. You make the policy amongst the farmers, but not on a national level. So personally, I've never engaged in politics, and I don't plan to do that ever in my life. I feel that my obligation is towards the constituency, the farmers' constituency. You are well equipped to do so. That's why for political parties, farmers' leaders are always attractive. They bring a certain loyalty from farmers to the equation. It's good for a political party to recruit farmers into their leadership, but I don't think it's that good for the farmers if they lose their leaders to political leadership. Anyway, I think in the modern world, and increasingly so, real power is in the hands of civil society. The stronger civil society is, the more developed a country is in terms of civilization, and you can sway much more influence in the sector by representing the real farmer's voice than representing an ideology or a political position in a country. You can span across party political boundaries as a farmer's leader, which you cannot do once you've exchanged that position for political power. And it's not only taxes, which is one of the things which you will constantly wrestle the policymakers about. It's also administered costs, the cost of water, of licenses, of electricity when it is government owned, of toll gates, all that administered costs, the prices which are being determined by governments, that hampers the competitiveness of farmers. In South Africa, we cannot compete against ourselves when we start farming in Mozambique, because the administered costs in Mozambique is so much lower than locally in South Africa. So you can do no more important things in the eyes of your members if you make a difference to the amount of money they leave in their pockets. Hence, when you fight issues such as higher taxes or administered costs, usually your members would like it very much. And it's difficult to do when you're the one who have to populate the government's purse.
Yes.
Sorry, I know that that is a question coming from Aus, but just want to make a statement. You said something that is quite important. Now, we're still discussing what Toy says about bringing farmers' leaderships to the policies, no, to get involved and try to move to get better policies. But you said something that is quite important, and I think put that under the roof, because you said it's not good to lose farmers' leaderships in order to get them lost in policies. So you said something like that. And you said something before that the farmers influence in policies when they are 100% sure about what are the policies they need. And probably one of the main problems here is that we are not 100% sure what are the policies that we need. But you said something quite important, is maybe it's more important to have farmers working as farmers leaderships, having clearer policies to influence, rather than having farmers leaderships taking part of policies and losing them in the system. Is that right?
Yeah, for me personally, I said it's always a loss for the farmers when they lose their leaders into politics.
Thanks for that. It's a good statement.
Yes, thank you, Lucas. Agustina had some another insight that she wanted to add on this topic, and we have maybe 5-6 more minutes for of Theo here. So after Agustina and Theo's closing remarks, Anna Carlin, who is joining me as a general coordinator of this group, will give our closing remarks and final thanks, and then we'll be finishing this meeting. So now, Agustina, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Theo and Julia, for this meeting. My objective in this meeting was because I was always motivated by your words of welcoming words in gymnasium. So I would like you to share with my colleagues your vision of the young farmers and what advice will you give us?
As I said to you once, Agustina, the world always changes faster than what we can keep up with. It's very hard to keep up with new developments all the time. The older you get, the harder it gets. Sometimes you have to leap into the future in your imagination and then work back to where you are now, so that it catches up with you instead of you trying to catch up with new developments. And for that, you need to be able to dream very big. I said to Augustina's colleagues in the gymnasium when they left, if your dreams do not scare you, they're not big enough, then you must dream over. It's only when they scare you that you can be certain they are worthwhile. Everything is going to change in agriculture within the next decade or so. In 10 years from now, when you look back at today, you will not believe how we got along today without the kind of stuff which we will have access to in another decade. Which means you need to be as flexible as possible. You need to be able to see the bigger picture all the time. And it's not really possible if you do not read a lot, if you do not keep up to date with latest developments, and if you do not keep on studying. Never stop being a student. Always learn more and more about the sector and about how the world is reacting to the way we produce and what and how we produce stuff. I'm an arch optimist, because I've been exposed to a young generation of farmers who are much different to the generation in which I grew up. Your world is so much different than the world in which I grew up. You can do so much more. And you have this opportunity to engage with each other across the globe. You can be on a WhatsApp group and talk every day to the best other farmers in New Zealand and America, in Russia, in Africa, all over. And you can exchange ideas and experiences, and you can develop policies in the same time and influence it much better than we could ever have done it. So one of the things which I want to just throw into the bush for you is, I'm also part of a local farmers network here in South Africa. We call it SAI. It is exclusively for family farmers. So it's not the big conglomerates who also do farming. We are trying to preserve the rural spaces in Southern Africa. We are trying to save small towns, because small towns only exist when there are enough young family farmers with small children who still need to go to primary schools and to attend the church in the local town. But we believe that we succeed in getting some of the brightest young minds into our structures. And I would love to introduce them to you and to set up some kind of exchange program and invite you guys to come and visit them when COVID allows us to travel again, and send them over to Argentina to see how you are farming and what you are doing, and to learn from you and see if we cannot build that kind of network. And then when in the World Trade Organization, they fight about subsidies again, you can be a magnificent team, other than currently when we meet as farmers leaders on those platforms for the first time and we do not even know each other.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for this time we shared our interest and so many knowledge from Theo and experience. Thank you, Theo and Julia and Agus again. It's been, well, I think we have so many things to work on now, and we are very motivated, as Agustina said. So thank you deeply, and I hope we see each other again.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye, Theo.
Let's keep
Thank
in
you so
touch.
much.
Let's keep in touch. Thank you very much for that.
Always.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Julia.
much.
Bye.